Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 1, Episode 20, In the Hands of the Prophets. And this is the season finale. After a Bajoran Vedic called Vedic Win visits the station to object to Keiko's secular teachings about the wormhole, tensions flare up between the Bajorans and the Federation, accumulating in an assassination attempt on Vedic Bareil. So, what did you think?
I thought this was okay. At first, I thought it was brave for the show to tackle religion versus science in a public setting. It's a delicate matter, and it stirs emotions in a lot of people, but then the plot completely sidesteps that whole creationism discussion and then turns into an assassination plot. So then, oh, never mind. It turns out this was all deception to try to murder someone, and we're not going to address the interesting problem we raised in the beginning.
Yeah, that was kind of left hanging in the air in a way which is completely confusing because most of it was caused by the large crowds that had gathered, and they were still hanging around. The school is still blown up. But I think they didn't want to end on a cliffhanger, but they kind of wanted to end on an episode that did develop the plot a little.
Yeah, I can see that. It was just, I guess I didn't consider that they'll revisit this, and it is a major concern. Cisco says something about wondering if they'll ever find common ground to bring Bajor into the Federation, and that's a huge thing. And then they started to address it in this episode, but then abandoned that idea. What did you think of this episode?
It was okay.
That's the general theme of season 1, that it's mostly okay.
Yeah, it was good to get some plot development. Vedic Win is a very antagonistic character, so that stirs the pot. The assassination plotline it didn't really get me too excited. It became far too obvious that Neela was the assassin.
Yeah.
That should have been revealed when she was stepping through the crowd at the end. That's the point where it should have become obvious. But instead, she was sort of skulking around in the background, looking really guilty all the time.
That one scene is really bad, where she keeps looking over her shoulder. I forgot who's talking in the foreground, but she's so obviously guilty.
You know the old saying, a man who's always looking over his shoulder is waiting for trouble to find him.
If they had done a better job of concealing the assassin's identity, then I think this would have been more exciting.
Yeah, if they developed that side plot more, so then we would see it as a distraction and not a complement to the main plot. So if that side plot were about, I don't know, Keiko becoming jealous that O'Brien is spending so much time with this woman and then causes tension in the marriage or something, where you don't see it directly correlated to the main plot line, and then it would come as a surprise. She's the assassin, but we find out so soon, and then it just deflates the whole thing.
The very, very first scene in the episode was Keiko accusing O'Brien of infidelity as a joke, and also highlighting Neela's existence. So as soon as someone says, "Oh, who's this Neela character, eh?" As the viewer, you're thinking, okay, this episode is focused on Neela somehow.
Yeah, you pay extra attention to her because of that.
Yeah, she was actually in a previous episode as well. So they wanted to put her in more than one episode previously, so she was established as a character, but they only fit her in one episode, the previous one actually. They could have been much more subtle about how they did this, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty clunky, and following Duet, it just anything following Duet would not come off as well, but this doesn't have a lot going for it, and it's okay as a finale. I'm glad they centered around the wormhole, because that's what the premiere is about, and so it bookends the season as a whole.
As I said it would. But the wormhole aliens didn't show up. Which
No.
shows how much I remember of season 1.
Well, there's not a whole lot to remember.
Are you already forgetting it?
Yeah, I've forgotten some stuff. When you mention some episode titles, what happened doesn't immediately jump to mind. Sometimes.
I'm sure you'll remember Culus and Move Along Home.
Yeah. Culus is my vote for worst of the season.
Oh, that's probably worst of the show, or close to it. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Move Along Home is worse than Culus.
I hate Culus more because they tried to pander, and they didn't even do that successfully. Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about Next Gen, but sitting there as someone without any knowledge of Next Gen, it was really obnoxious. At least Move Along Home was trying something.
It failed at every turn, but at least its heart was in the right place.
Yeah, I'll take an interesting failure over we need to convince people who watch that other thing that they should watch this thing.
Yeah, that is fair. In this episode, they do something they do quite a lot, which is act really relaxed and casual about a murder investigation, discussing it in the middle of ops. There's no...
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, there's loads of randoms
having that conversation
past.
That should be behind closed doors.
Absolutely. It's crazy that it wasn't.
I guess they really like that set and they want to show off ops.
It's a nice set. But yeah, it gets a little frustrating that they are just yelling across the promenade, hey, the murderer hid this and we found it. I hope they don't hide any more evidence. 200 people hear it.
Well, we've gone over how lax security is on Deep Space Nine.
They've got bad quarantine procedures. They've got doors that only record when they opened, but not who went through.
I forgot about that.
They've got a computer which will not tell you where replicators are, but will tell you where guns are.
And comm badges, but not people.
But it will tell you where people who don't wear comm badges are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the station's got a few issues. O'Brien would be the first to agree.
Sir, when you work with a computer as much as I do, you get to know it. They're all very different. And working with the Enterprise computer was like dancing a waltz. With this computer, it's always been like a wrestling match.
Maybe Odo encourages these giant laps in logic because he finds it fun.
Well, because the future is so idealistic, there wouldn't be any crime unless security measures were just absolutely inadequate in every sense.
Yeah, so he's purposely having the station operate in a compromised way so that he has a job.
It makes sense. That probably explains why Nog managed to break into security through some sort of side door and then go into the prisoner cell where a single button press will release prisoners. And
Yeah,
I
without
can't even
the
remember what
hint
episode.
of difficulty.
Yeah, no, he had to steal his dad's plastic rods, which he keeps in a drawer behind the bar which Kira happily walked behind 2 episodes ago. I guess
Unlocked.
Yeah, I guess when you analyze everything as one big collection, so far in season 1, the station is basically completely open. Like you said, it's absolutely susceptible to outside influence.
Yeah, in many senses.
But I don't want to tear it apart because you could do this to almost any show.
Oh, sure.
With so much futuristic, far-thinking things in it. You have to remember it was written in the early 90s when the internet was just being formed.
Yeah, in its nascent stages.
So, individually, a lot of these things are quite logical. The fact that they don't gel together is nobody's fault, and I don't think a valid, or it's not a strong criticism. So, what did you think of the Academy Award winner, Vedic Wynn?
I thought she was fine, I guess.
Did you like her?
Yeah, she was fine for the role.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course the actress is fine. But I meant the character.
Oh, okay.
Because she's pretty awful.
Yeah. Although I like that we're getting a continuation of the Kai storyline. It gives a sense of world building and time passing. Other than bringing Kai Opaka back, which is the obvious way of continuing the storyline, they're dealing with the aftermath of her situation. So I like that aspect, but other than that, she's a pretty awful character.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Of Vedic Wynn?
Yes.
Ugh. She's nasty.
Yeah.
I don't like these sort of characters, pompous and righteous, but 10 times worse than any of the criminals they've had. Like she's trying to murder her competitors without even flinching. And
then they just let her walk away.
Well, they had no evidence, which is odd.
Yeah.
But if she got that far, if she got to the level of Vedic, which is almost Pope, with that kind of treachery, then it would make sense. She's good at covering her tracks.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There is a scene where Neela comes in and says, I won't have a way to escape. And Wynn just says, sometimes the sacrifices the prophets ask us to make are quite big. And I think that was a good way of summarizing her character, how disingenuous it sounds. There's obvious manipulation there.
Yeah, that was a good bit. So, O'Brien and Keiko have terrible chemistry.
Yeah, I don't
that
really know
embrace after the bombing was not convincing.
Keiko was decent in this episode. She was weird at the start after joking that O'Brien was being unfaithful, which really hurt him. And then she laughs it off. Then she starts teaching super advanced particle physics to a bunch of really bored-looking 8-year-olds. But as soon as Vedic Wynn turns up, Keiko is in her element.
Yeah, this is the best we've seen Keiko. Not that we've seen a lot of her.
No, maybe my unkind opinion of her is largely based on her actions in Next Generation. Because of the 3 times she's turned up? She's been actually pretty reasonable, or perfectly reasonable, 2 out of 3 times, I would say. If you don't count the very start of this episode.
Yeah.
Why is nobody particularly upset that Aquino melted?
Wait, what melted?
Aquino? See, no one cares. It's the engineer that got melted in the conduit.
Oh, yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah, there's some human DNA in it. Oh, well.
He's not like, oh, geez. And then he tells Cisco and the others, and they're like, oh, well, that sucks, I guess.
Yeah, no emotion. That's
Oh, well.
really strange.
This faceless character, who we clearly don't care about.
Yeah.
There was another Vedic Baroil.
Is that the guy hanging out on the lavish pawn set?
Yes, the same set. It wasn't a set, I believe it will be like a botanic garden or something. But it was used in the first episode of Next Generation, I think. A little trivia for you there. But yeah, he showed up and was useless.
Pretty much.
Yeah, say what you want about Vedic Wynn, at least she's trying to do something.
Well, when they introduced him, I thought he was going to play as a more softened religious leader compared to Vedic Wynn. But then, again, they abandoned the whole trying to find common ground thing. And so that wasn't even relevant anymore.
Yeah, it really does feel unfinished. But maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they wanted to have an episode which had a contained plot but left you wanting more. It would make sense, seeing as it's the finale of the season.
Yeah, I guess it works in that way.
So, we've seen season 1. What are your hopes for the future, season 2 and onwards?
There's a lot of groundwork laid in season 1. Not a lot of highs, but that's okay. You're setting the foundation. And it's a strong foundation to build upon. And so I'm still excited to see what these characters get into and to discover more about their pasts and what makes them tick. We got hints of that. And I also like the storytelling gimmicks that the writers come up with in the good episodes. So I want to see more examples of that. What are you looking forward to now that we have season 1 behind us?
I'm looking forward to the same thing I always look forward to. Another episode with Garrick. He was only in one episode this season. He doesn't even seem like a recurring character. Well, I guess because he didn't recur.
Yeah, that's the main thing, to be known as a recurring character. You need to recur.
Some more Chief O'Brien-centric episodes. I like them too. And I would like Dax to stop being useless.
To be an actual character?
Yeah. And not just say, I knew Benjamin ages ago, even though I'm quite young. Isn't that
weird? I'm a young lady, but I'm 300 years old.
Yeah. That is getting quite thin. It was not mentioned in this episode, but it has been recently, and it is wearing so thin at this point.
Yeah, that butter has been spread over too much bread.
Oh, okay. So it's baking analogies, is it?
I guess, sure. You brought up O'Brien and how you like his episodes, and I do too. And he's a good example of that you don't need to rely on discoveries about a character's past to have an engaging character and have thrilling episodes. I don't know why his episodes work, but they do. And it's never about his troubled past or anything.
I think it's because he's got quite a strong character. He's quite hot-headed, but he's also very matter-of-fact about stuff, speaks his mind. He's just interesting. His interactions are interesting. He was good in Captive Pursuit with Tusk because he was very upfront and didn't mind having a little bit of fun killing some aliens for a laugh.
Yeah. He asserts himself and he doesn't really hide anything about himself, and so I think it's interesting to see him bump up against unknowns just to see what happens.
Yeah, Colm Meaney is really good as well. He's shows so much on his face. All his little eye rolls.
Yeah, he's so expressive.
Yeah, it's great.
So Kira is my MVP, but then O'Brien is my secret MVP. And then Bashir is most improved. And then Dax is mostly useless.
I didn't realize we were giving out awards.
Yeah, I'm giving out Little League Baseball awards.
Is there one for being made of wood in the premiere and then suddenly turning excellent later on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well done, Cisco. Okay, well, do you have a quote? And I think I can guess what you may have chosen.
Ooh, I want to hear your guess.
It was the very last line of the season, spoken by Cisco. Maybe we have made some progress after all.
I don't even want to say mine now, because that's way better. Let's go with yours.
Well, what did you have?
I have the 7th rule of acquisition. Keep your ears open.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's not as good as my one, though. Sorry.
Yours makes way more sense to close out a season of quotes.
I'm quite surprised you didn't notice that one. It's right at the end, so that's what I was thinking about when the titles were rolling. The credits, even. Not the titles. The titles are at the start.
Do you watch the episode trying to identify what quote I'll grab?
As soon as the episode starts, I immediately start skipping through, trying to find a quote.
Oh, it's got to be this one. So let's pretend I said yours.
Okay.
That's the official quote of the episode.
Yep, I can pretend as hard as I can. It's a good thing we're not recording this, because then we'd have evidence that you didn't say that.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, that's it. We're done. We watched the weakest season.
And now on to season 2 and more. But first, season 2.
Yeah. We could skip season 5.
Uh-oh.
When you get to an episode like Move Along Home, sometimes you just think, who cares?
But they're so fun to rip apart.
Oh, that's true. They have the best...
Don't deny me that joy.
But it's also good to watch a good episode and then have a good time talking about it, rather than just watching a horrible episode that's torturous and then have a cathartic time ripping it to shreds and stamping on the bits.
Those are distinct and unique joys.
You're a man of many pleasures.
And we're done.
Yeah, that's a creepy enough line to end this episode.
Thanks, Bashir.